Cup of tea. Nettle, obviously. So, good morning, everybody. I'm just popping on live for another Warble Wednesday. I'm sorry I've been a bit lax with coming online for my warbles, but I am going to try and be a little bit better. So I thought while I was waiting for a few people to hop on, I'd just go through some fun nettle facts. Because I'm going to try and make some cordage with you. It's something that I've wanted to do, and I was booked on to a course to try out all different types of cordage, but lockdown did not help that booking, so I did not get to do it. So I've been playing myself and trying to do it and experimenting, which is something that Forest Skills is all about, giving it a go and seeing how it turns out. Nettles are one of those plants that everyone goes, ooh, nettles, ooh, this thingy, I don't like them. But nettles are very good for a lot of nature. So ladybirds and butterflies really love them. They're one of their food plants and one of their homes to a lot of little insects, and it keeps them safe. They're also used for some medicine. So they actually take the nettle stinging and rub it on joints, and it clears out I think it's uric acid out of the joints, which stops the inflammation. And if you pick nettles before with me, and you do get stung a little bit on your fingers, you find that it goes numb. So it's got like a pain numbing sensation going on in your fingers. So it can be used for medicine. And they're also very good to eat. And once you know how to pick them, they can be added to teas and soups and stews. And once they're added to some water, they stop stinging. So if you boil them in a little bit of water, or just dip them in some hot water for a little bit, all the stings go, so you won't get stung. And we've made some beautiful nettle soup before, and that was very good. So what I've done is I've picked some nettles and I've stripped them. So I'm just going to do a demonstration. I haven't actually got any with any leaves on to show you, but I've got a gardening glove to protect my hands, and it's a bit rubbery to protect my hands. So I picked it. And if you pick it from underneath and don't touch any of the top of the leaves, you won't get stung, because the underneath of the leaf doesn't sting you. So I picked it out of the ground and I got my glove and I ran my glove up and down the nettle like that to strip off any little fibres and hairs and leaves that were on there. I don't think I've got anything with any little bits on. Oh yes, so that one's got a little bit of a stem on, and I just use my glove there just to wipe it off. And if it doesn't come off, just pick it off gently. Like that, so any leaves and bits. And if you run your glove up it a few times, it gets rid of a lot of those little hairs. So I don't know if you can see, probably not. There's little tiny hairs just on the nettle stem itself, and that just helps get rid of some of those. So I've got a few sticks here, and earlier in the week I had my very first attempt, and I made some little nettle cordage there. So it's like a little twist pattern. Don't know if you can see that. I hope you can. Little twist pattern in there, and it's quite strong. It was made with green. Oh, quite strong, but it did break because I made it with green. This one's a bit stronger. I made this one a little bit better. I made it with green when it was still wet. So what I did last night was I stripped a few nettles down and let them dry overnight, so hopefully I should get a stronger one. And last night I did the same, and I used a different method of twisting, and then interestingly, as it's dried, it's gone all curly-whirly. So rather than being a nice taut weave like that, like a really strong weave, it's undone itself and gone all springy. So I have no idea what I've done there, but it's quite interesting. I quite like it. So I'm going to unfasten that and re-twist it. And make it nice and strong, because you can see if you twist it, apparently it increases the strength by 40%, which is pretty cool. So I'm just going to twist that around just a bit. Let me twist it. Okay, so got the nettles. So once you've picked a few nettles, also this string here, which is quite long, it's probably about the size of a ruler, was one piece of nettle. That's pretty long for just one piece of nettle. So if it hadn't unravelled, it would be a beautiful twist. So we're going to see if we can get a beautiful twist now. So once you've got your nettles, when they're still green, they've kind of got a square end to them. So it's got 4 little sides that will strip into 4 little bits. And what you need to do is pop your nail in, or a knife, into one of the lines and just run it up. It's quite difficult to show you. So try and run it up so it splits it up the centre. So I'm going to try and twist myself around so you can see. So you put your nails in and open it up, and it opens up like that. And you keep running your nails up, and these nodes here where the leaves were, they can be quite hard. So what you can do is lean against something. So I did have a little rock, but I can't see it now. So I'm going to use a pen. So if you're out in the wild, you can use a bushcraft knife and just give it a little squeeze on top of something hard, and then it should allow you to break through the node. And this one's a really tough one. So what I've worked out is that you need a good established nettle, but you don't need anything that's very old, because it starts getting quite barky, and it makes it very difficult to process. So some people process them by giving them a bash. So you lie them down, and instead of squishing the nodes, you bash them with a rock or a rolling pin or something like that. And I tried that, and I just seemed to bash all my fibres up, which is what the first ones were made of, which is why I think the fibres keep snapping in this, because I sort of bashed them up too much. And I also picked some 3 little nettles from my garden, and they weren't established, they were quite small, because they're on my son's racing track, which is the lawn at the front of the house, which is split up into little wildflower areas. And and I obviously don't want them to get stung around there, so I tend to just pull them out when they grow. So they were quite young. So this one's splitting up quite nicely. So I'm just struggling a bit at each node, so I'm sorry if I've got concentration face on. So so while you're out with nettles, if you do get stung, everyone says find a dock leaf. And dock leaves do tend to grow right where the nettles are, because they like the same sort of soil, and they sort of thrive on unused ground, which is sort of where nettles grow as well. So last little node is causing me issues, but I think that might be a little bit too thin, so I'm just going to take that away. So now I have split it all the way up. So dock leaves, nettles are often said to come with their own first aid kit, because they grow near the dock leaves, and you can break up the dock leaves in your hands and rub them on, and the moisture from the dock leaves helps the sting from the nettles. But if you haven't got any dock leaves around, any sort of moisture will work. Any sort of big leaves will relieve it a little bit, or some water from your drinks bottle, or even some hand lotion or some suntan lotion. It all helps just push the histamine out of the skin, which is what the little hairs fibres. So I split this one all the way up, and I can now open it up like that, and it's still quite tough. Okay, so we need to get rid of the pith inside. Now it's hard to see the pith, but you can just about see it. So you sort of bend it on itself, and it should start peeling away. So you can, and you have to, each time you get to a node, you might want to give it a good press to get it off. There we go. So it's starting to peel off, and you see this woody bit here is the sort of pith in the middle, and what you're left with should be the fibres. I'm just going to give that a little press in my hands, just to soften it up a bit to make it easier to peel. I'm just going to give it a peel down here, and you can see it's coming off relatively easily. Just giving it a pull. Nope. Some of the fibres haven't peeled off as lovely as the other ones, but like I said, because some of these are a bit older and a bit less green and a bit more barky, I found these ones are a little bit more tricky. So I keep pulling the pith off like that, and it should naturally sort of divide into 4. So there's one bit there, and then it's pulled apart here. So like I said, I've never done this before. The first go I had was the other day. I was hoping to go on a lovely course. So I've kind of got one bit there, lovely course to learn it a little bit better. So I'm still quite a novice at this. I'm still quite learning, but that's the florist school way, having a go and seeing what we can learn and see if we can make it better. So this one's all sort of done. It's quite floppy and quite fibery. This one, it's still quite firm, so you can still see there's a bit of, you can feel there's a bit of pith on there. So you just need to try and pick a bit more of the pith off. So you can still see that there's quite a bit of pith just on there. And what I found was, if I couldn't quite get off the pith, there's the pith. If I couldn't quite get off the pith, I used my nails just to scrape down, just to make sure that I got all of the pith off. And just gently scraping down, but that one is 2, so I can split that into 2. And it's quite easy to see, probably not so much for you. I've got 2 bits there, relatively long. And what I did was I took, so one end's thicker that comes from the base and one end's thinner. So I put a thin bit to the top and a thick bit to the bottom, which is a tip I learnt off of someone I think in Australia, when I was trying to work out what was going on. And then I've got my strings. So you can just do it with the green bits, which is what I did yesterday. And what I did was I just twisted them together like that. And that. Keep twisting, and then they want to twist around on themselves. Can you see that? It's a bit like when we're doing forest school bracelets, you twist it and then it sort of twists around on itself and it makes a little loop. And then you can hold on to that loop and you've got 2 strands, and then you want to twist, 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 and then you swap it over. So swap it over and then pinch the twist so it doesn't unravel, and then twist the other one, twist, 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 and then swap it over, and always just the same way. So twist, 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 and swap, and pinch, and twist, 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 and swap, and pinch. And then, and as you get better, apparently you'll be able to twist both of them at the same time, but I'm not that good, so I'm going to twist and over and twist and over and twist and swap and twist and swap. It's a bit like doing a bit of a braid and over. So you'll be able to see I've got forming a nice little twist there. So hoping you can see that. There we go. So it's quite strong at the moment, but it's quite green. So that would be enough for tying up some of your gardening beans and peas and things like that. Totally biodegradable, which is pretty cool. So you'll be able to tie it up and use that, and it'd be pretty strong, and then it would just dry out and eventually just go back to the earth, which is a pretty cool way of doing things. So now I'm going to try. So I've got a few more stalks there to have a little go with later. But I'm going to try some of the fibres. So those big green fibres that I just used for these ones, that look quite thick as you go there, dry out and they look quite thin and wispy now. So so these are the ones I dried out overnight. So I'm going to pick a couple of these. So these ones, the nice long ones were from the not so old stems. So that's what I've learned, is that if you pick the older, woodier stems, that like these ones, like the sort of, these ones are purple. Oh, they're really quite tough. They don't peel as well. So you want a mature kind of stem, I think, that's more green than woody. So I'm going to give this a go. So I've got a piece there. It's quite even all the way along this one. So so I'm hoping that. So I can still feel there's a little bit of pith on that bit actually. So I'm just going to run my fingers across it, just get it off. But it feels much stronger than the green that I've just done there. So I feel like the green I could just rip it there. The dried one does feel a bit stronger. So I'm going to do the same thing again. So let's hope this works. I'm going to twist, 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 ooh, twist, twist. Oh, now there's quite a bit of pith on this one. So I'm going to abandon that one. I also didn't do a very good job of stripping that. So let's try a different piece. So I'm wondering if that's why maybe my green one that I did last night didn't work out so well, because I still had a bit of pith on it. So got another piece. So I'm going to twist, and I might thicken that up because it's quite thin. Put another piece with it, because it will probably make it easier for you to see as well. So I've got 3 pieces there. So I'm going to just twist them together. So it's a bit like 3-ply wool, I suppose. So I'm just going to give that a twist like that, and then let it try and do its own little twist. You can see it's already wanting to form a little bit. So I'm going to pinch it, and then I'm going to twist, twist and swap, and twist and swap, and pinch and twist and swap and pinch and twist and swap and pinch. I'm going to carry on doing that for a little while. Okay, so nettles, fun fact. Okay, so not only can you make cordage with it, which is basically just a bit of nettle string, you can make clothing out of it. So nettles can be stripped for their fibre, and it can be spun, and it can be made into lovely dresses and socks and material. And some of the German army, I believe, I don't know when exactly, but some of the German army uniforms were actually made out of nettle cordage. I remember learning that back in textiles in college when I was at Blackpool Sixth Form. So just try and let that twist together. Oh, it's starting to unravel. So interesting. So the green stuff seems to lock together a little bit better, and this stuff doesn't seem to be twisting as easily. So let's try that again. Okay, so I'm twisting, twisting. There we go. Oh, and we're going to do it this way instead. So I'm going to twist, and then let it do its own little twist. Twist, and there we go. And this is how I did the first one. So this seems to work out quite well. So twist one, twist the other, let it do its own little twist, and then it seems to hold a bit better. So the very first one that I did, see, I'm still learning. The very first one I did this sort of method and let it do its own twist. This one I did last night that sort of unraveled into a spiral. I did the twist, twist and turn. So maybe that's why it's unraveled, because it wasn't quite locking itself together. So twist, twist, and let it lock together. And once it gets bigger, I found that you can try and hook it onto something, because there is a little loop at the end, and then that will help you get the twists in, and especially when you're adding bits in, it's not so easy. But I'm finding this is not so bad actually. Twist, twist. The more I do it, the more I practice, I seem to be getting a little bit better. So I'm starting to get to the end of the thicker bits. So then I need to add in some more, which is a bit scary, but it's okay. So I'm going to just do that. Okay, and then I've got my piece here. I'm going to add it in to my bit to make it nice, make it thicker all the way down. And I'm just going to carry on twisting. So try and twist it in as I go. And then, well, that didn't work. Let's unravel that bit and put it back in and twist, twist, twist. So it all stays together. And then twist the other side. Let it twist around, twist and twist and let it go round. There we go. And I do the same to the other side to thicken it up. So this was about 2 or 3 nettles that I sliced last night. I should hopefully be able to get a longer string, but it does seem to be much more neat and tidy than my other attempts. So I'm hoping this will be quite good. And it does feel, the other one I did that with, it snapped because I did it when it was green and then it shrinks. So I can add that one back in there. So I'm going to carry on doing a little bit of that. And it seems quite easy, you know, once you've had a bit of practice. But you live and you learn. So twist in the knee piece, make it as thick as the other ones, and then twist, 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 and let it twist around, and twist, 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 and it naturally wants to go that way, and twist, 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 there we go. There we go, and there's 2 knee pieces added in, and it keeps it that same thickness all the way down, hopefully. There we go. And we've got a nice piece of nettle cordage. Ta-da! So I'm quite pleased with that. Second attempt. Just covered my laptop all in little nettle fibres. I'm quite pleased with how that looks. It's looking a lot more neat and tidy than compared to some of my first ones that look a bit messier. You can see that's got hardly any little fibres next to it. And these ones, you can see where I've tried to join things and do stuff and it's not quite worked out. That one's a little bit neater there, that piece. But that one you can see there's quite a bit where the joins are sticking out. But you can just run a pair of scissors over the bits that come out. And I believe with some other fibres you can use just like a lighter across them, but not with nettles, I believe. So I've not tried that yet. But there we go. So things that I've learned are quite immense actually. I've only done it a couple of times, but I've been learning all the time. So first attempt, second wiggly woggly springy attempt, and today's attempt much better. So definitely dry out the nettle strands. Don't get carried away and get too keen like I do, and do it while it's still green. So magic stuff. Ta-da! Right, it was lovely seeing you. I'm going to sign off now. I can't see any comments, but I hope you've enjoyed it, and I will see you soon. Bye.